Welcome. I want to talk to you a little bit about the TalentValue platform. And the way this works is managers and employees are connected in so many different ways. And one way we can connect them is conveying motivation to the manager, capturing mindset of the employee, but also managers work with teams, not just individual employees. So we have the Motivate dashboard, shows how the employee works. And this is the employee-manager relationship. The lead dashboard here on the right, this dashboard here, is really about how a manager manages her teams. In one way, it's leadership effectiveness. In another way, it's employee empowerment. And so the way it works is employees have a portal that they use for various things: career, work-life models, professional development, communications, anonymous communications with teams and members of the company. You can send messages, make suggestions, call for actions. So this is their home base. And in the home base, the manager invites the employee to voice and asks the employee to do two things. One is rate your work life today. Rate it over 5 factors: the role, the manager, the team, the company, and your career. And then the other piece, and this is just coming into this tool here and taking these ratings, taking these scores, and just moving them to wherever they make sense. And that is one piece of the puzzle. That score actually feeds the lead dashboard, and it feeds the motivation index, but only a portion of the motivation index is taken from here. So these are really confidential. They're confidential to the employee. They're anonymized and aggregated here over a team, so no employee stands out. And in the Motivate dashboard, the motivation index is made up of actually 52 factors, and no more than 11 are ever taken from the voice score. This is the sentiment score of the employee. So how are we connecting, and how are we doing it in a way that's compassionate, that's innovative, and fun? So let's make this fun. First, the manager enters her dashboard. Anka comes in, and she's just gotten some scores, quarterly scores. You might do it quarterly, you could do it anytime you want. It's always live, actually, because voice scores can be changed anytime. But let's just say you pulse at the beginning of the quarter, and you pulse, and this is your score. So the manager comes in, and the first thing they do is they see their score here. And this is where it can get fun. This is where they are today. And there's only 2 things they really need to think about during the quarter. One, they need to raise their score to a goal. They can set the goal. The app typically will set the goal 2 points up, so there's a stretch. This is a quarter stretch. And in order to do this, they set the goal in this module. And then to get there, what they need to do is they need to address components of the role. So they need to be able to look down and see under manager, are these components, are any of these worth changing? So what usually happens is a priority list comes up, and the priority list simply says, what are the scores where they're the lowest? In this case, both priorities are under team, and one is team collaboration, and the second is team execution. These scores are low C's, if you think about academics. And you can go to the team right here, and you can see, whoa, 72 in collaboration and a 73 in execution. And this is why we break team into many pieces. One is the quality of the team members. Well, the group feels this quality of the team is high, it's good. The culture, well, the culture of the team is good. So I like my people. I think they're very good. They're sharp, they're smart, they're excellent people. But some reason we're not collaborating, and some reason we're not executing, and our communications could use a little help. Now, team. Let's think about team for a second. Ankit's got a team of 17 people. They're all software engineering type folks. But each of these software engineers also participate in other teams, product teams, sales teams, customer service, customer care, support, things like that. So Ankit essentially misses often what's really happening down at the team level. Now, why would Ankit be responsible for teams? Well, Ankit's responsible for team empowerment and employee empowerment. And for the employees to be empowered, Ankit needs to now become aware of what's happening at the team level. This is visibility that she may not have had already. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. She maybe isn't in the team meetings. But now her people, the people that report to her in software engineering, are saying in general, our teams aren't collaborating, our teams aren't executing, our teams aren't communicating. We've got good people, we like them. So now she has a very good vision. No matter how strong a manager she is, she should be able to read this and get a sense of what's happening. She hasn't talked to anyone yet. She's only gotten numbers. We've quantified these. The game is that she comes in and she looks at her dashboard and she basically says, I've got the 82. My manager and I have decided that it's an 84. We want to go to this quarterly goal. And the game is empower my people. The more I empower them, the higher my score. The more I can work on the weak points of these factors over here, the weak points of the empowerment of my team, I can raise these scores probably faster than I can the higher scores. And these are the ones I'm going to attack first. So how do I attack them? Remember, all this can be done in minutes. The very first time the manager sees this, if they are guided through this and they understand it fundamentally, it's really no harder than email, but you need to understand how it's set up. And when the manager comes in, she knows there's a route here. And the route basically is something like this. She comes in and she checks her score. She then sets a Q1 goal, 84. She then checks priority topics, team collaboration, team execution. She then picks a priority category, drop down, team. Okay, we did that. Then she now locates the priority topics. Collaboration 72, execution 73. These are the topics that she's going to deal with. And now she starts to work. This is where she takes action. This is where the plan of TalentValue is about capture the score, engage, this is the engagement piece, and then act. So the engagement's coming here. She's going to make notes, set team building meeting or call meeting to discuss challenges, or she's actually going to go to this drop down here and take action. And this will give her a very turnkey and very direct way to make a difference and take action, because she may not know as a manager what to do next. So when she gets to this point and recognizes the challenge and recognizes she wants to raise her score, she can simply come to this drop down. Companies can customize this drop down. You can have anything here you want. In this case, she may choose email ideas. She might say, let's email, let's talk about this. Well, maybe not. You know, it's pretty hard to do that over email. There's a lot of subtleties here. She might call for a team meeting, and the team meeting could be good enough. People could get together and say, hey, we're not collaborating, we're not executing, what are we doing wrong? And it can be sort of a session. It's almost a therapy session, like what's happening. And it's the classic team building, yeah, norming, storming, forming, performing. So that whole idea of getting together at a team meeting could be good, but it could be, unless the manager is really good at facilitating these kinds of meetings, then it might be better to pick a professional. Maybe internally the HR person can do this. Maybe internally there's a designated team building person, or maybe you simply go into a workshop. So you have a number of choices here. This is only going to take seconds or minutes to really think through this. I could go to her manager and say, this is what, look at my scores, what I need to do. And by the way, manager sees this dashboard anytime she wants to see it. So Anka is reporting to Cynthia, and Cynthia is saying, Yeah, I looked at your dashboard. Wow, the team looks like team collaboration is something to approach. So this is a interactive tool that's visible, that creates visibility to management and visibility to the employee. And the employees obviously now get brought into the game when you have the workshop or the team meeting or career coaching or any of these things. So in this case, I could pick workshop. And so workshop, basically, when we pick workshop, companies can actually connect directly to their vendors with an email, click the email, and invite. In this case, they invited Allison Campa. And Allison, let's see back here, the 24th, set the seminar with Allison. It's all approved. Internally, we use Allison for team building and other career coaching. And now we're going to see what we do. We're going to hold the seminar. So a week later, we have the seminar. You take notes here. You attend, Ankit, you're Ankit. Allison gave us some tools, 4 pillars of team building: plan, act, deliver, recap. Maybe there's a whole formula here. The tools are what we're missing here. This was frustrating. This was a blocker to motivation. And we're looking at a way to transform the relationship between management team, between people in their roles, and between execution, production, productivity, performance, and even retention. Because if we can get these scores up, then we can do something good. Now, next step, what happens is 2 days later, on the 1st of June, a email comes up to Ankit, and she can basically send a pulse, and it's really, or an email to all her people or some of her people. When she sends the email, she gets to basically say, hey, she's just reiterating, we had a meeting with Allison on Tuesday, thought it went well, gave us some tools, pillars of the team. I liked it. What do you think? And in the email, there's a simple slider like these sliders over here. And the slider just says, how well do you think this meeting with Allison is going to lead to improving our team collaboration, execution, culture, etc. And then the individual, the employee, can either answer the email or answer the little slider, which is kind of like a poll. How do we do? Or both. And now we have signals. It's an analog signal if they just answered the email. It's a digital signal if they actually responded. If they respond, those signals come back into the scoring, and that affects the overall score here. So let's see how this happens. When these scores, basically the signals can be captured a lot of different ways. Maybe Shubi goes in after the meeting and says, hey, I felt a little bit better about this, so I might change this score. I felt a little bit better about this. So Shubi can change these incrementally. Maybe just a little bit better. Maybe just a little bit better. Okay, so we have this 72 and 73. And Shubi's gone in, and maybe a couple other people have gone in and said, having that meeting, my boss listened, constructive tools to use, feel a little bit better, a little bit more motivated. Let's try this. So there could be a jolt just for the meeting itself. Now, Shubi and some others, and in the emails, were capturing, how well things went. But what's going on in the app? So we see those 70s, and we have Ankit comes back, and Ankit would be notified of this, so she doesn't have to come. You can see right away the team score has gone up. Okay, I think the team score was 80, now it's 82. Collaboration is up 2.6%, and execution is up 8.2%. Now, Ankit knows something's happened. She took action with the workshop. They followed through with the workshop. This is, this is direct training on something very relevant to what's happening in their world today. It's very focused professional development. You don't go to 4 days of offsites. You go to 1 or 2 meetings with Allison, and suddenly we're moving up and we're tracking this. And of course, you want to track this for a while. So you can see that even with the email response, you could get a bump. But what also happens is 3 weeks later, another email goes out. It simply says, hey, we're just checking in on Teams. Yeah, managers are supposed to check in Teams. There's nothing, that's taking a lot of their time. It's like, how are the teams doing? How are you guys feeling about it? Do you feel like the tools that Allison gave us are working? Do you have questions? Do we need to, what's your suggestions on next steps? And then the team may come back with analog. Yeah, hey, we definitely would love another meeting. And this is where you could change it to team meeting, because now we have those tools that Allison gave us, maybe some handouts, maybe some things, seminars to work with. And here we are, we can have a team meeting this time, and now we can keep working on it. But really what's cool is we were looking at a score of 82, a goal of 84. The score has probably gone up underneath a little bit. Certainly this one went up, team went up to 80 to 82. And so we're getting toward that goal. But what's even better is the manager now, when they come to their dashboard or even in their email alerts, it now will no longer say team, collaboration, and execution. Now it's saying career leadership and professional development. Interesting. Why? Because these are now the low scores. So what is expected from the leader here? Companies want to know, how much time is my manager going to be spending using this tool? Are they going to be chewing up key management leadership time with a dashboard, or is this thing going to actually make things work better? And this is the deal. Best practices is to post a survey at the beginning of the quarter, and then set a goal, and then ask leaders to try to reach that goal. Gamification. Go from 82 to 84. The goal is empowering employees. Leadership effectiveness. Everybody's benefiting. And the other piece is, this quarter, you attack 4 key topics. Well, with a team, you just attack 2 with one thing. And you've raised from 80 to 82. And you now have no 70. Well, you've got a couple 70s, but they're high 70s. Well, 3 still. So you may have to work on team dynamics a little bit more, but you've made a good step. And you've already attacked 2 topics. Now you've got 2 more to attack. Maybe you want to attack these, and this would be good. And you simply go down to career, and you look down, and you go, okay, here we are. Leadership and professional development. What do I do here? Well, again, you're going to work your way through this, but likely if you're on career, you'll just pick career coaching. And because this is something that managers know least about in terms of teaching in general. Well, some managers are good, but this is another thing. You could just reach out. Again, you have your career coaches, your vendor approved career coaches. You just click them. You got a choice of 10. You read up on them. You pick Julie. Julie comes in and does some career coaching, maybe some one-on-one career coaching. Maybe it's a whole project. But you see, this isn't really taking any company resources except for some little capital to hire Julie, to hire Allison. And 2 of the most important things that aren't addressed today are team and career within any kinds of engagement tools. And yet here, we're saying the manager is responsible for these because they're responsible for team empowerment and individual empowerment. And so this particular manager, Ankit, can actually knock down all 4 of her topics pretty easily with 2 throws. First throw is, let's do the workshop with Allison, 2 team issues. Let's do the career coaching with Julie, 2 more team issues. And she's knocked them out. So how much time did that take her to set those meetings? She's now involved. She now has visibility, but she's doing her job. This tool is actually just making it very simple for her to know what steps to take, capture, engage, act. And then, of course, status and resolution. This is the follow-up, and this is the evolution piece. And we need to continue to look at this. And the scores will be telling you next quarter, if suddenly this goes down again and you suddenly see the team scores happening again, that you just can't stop thinking about teams or thinking about career or thinking about any of these. But this is a tool that allows teams and managers to work together, and it answers the key questions. First key question is, we do surveys all the time, but nothing ever happens. It's the biggest objection to engagement surveys and engagement platforms. Well, guess what? Setting the meeting itself is action. Yeah, actually getting some action through help, seminars, speaking, interaction, team meetings, mea culpa, whatever. You're gonna have these things here, and you're going to actually see that employees are going, wow, Ankit's taking action. Ankit may be a brand new manager. It was easy for her to do this. She's looking good. And now we're doing something, and now we're seeing it in the scores. So gamification, raise your score, attack at least 4 priorities per quarter, and you've made it. This is not about performance. This is about managing employee motivation, employee empowerment, and management empowerment and effectiveness, all in one dashboard. So thank you so much for taking a look at this. Next time we'll get into voice and talk more about how voice leads to better motivation, more productivity, better retention, and just overall higher morale at companies and corporate value. So thank you so much for taking time, and come back next time. We'll talk more about talent value and what it can do for you and your organization. It's a lot of fun. Remember, talent value is for managers, but everybody's involved. There's a team platform. And so HR is part of it. Executives are part of it. Employees are part of it. But managers drive it. And managers are the closest to the point of attack and to the ground level where things are really happening. Thanks so much. Richard Lear here from Talent Value.